The Manhattan Elite Boxing Club pulsed with the sound of leather gloves pounding heavy bags and the steady rhythm of jump ropes snapping against the polished floor. Trainers barked orders while wealthy members laughed between sparring rounds. The air thick with confidence and privilege, the double doors creaked open, drawing a few impatient glances. Malikah Johnson, just 18, stepped inside. Her sneakers were worn to threads, her faded sports bag sagging on one shoulder. The gym's bright lights reflected off marble floors and chrome equipment, making her look like she had walked into another world, a world she didn't belong to, at least not in their eyes. "Hold up," a sharp, amused voice sliced through. The noise. Vanessa Cole, two-time women's world champion, froze mid-conversation and stared Malikah down. Did someone lose their way to the community center? Laughter rippled around the gym. Phones tilted upward, capturing the moment for Vanessa's 2 million followers. Malikah tightened her grip on the strap of her bag, quietly checking the address on a crumpled paper in her pocket. "I'm here for the youth scholarship program," she said, her accent soft but steady. Vanessa smirked, already tapping her phone screen to go live. "Scholarship? Sweetheart, this isn't a charity. We train real athletes here, not social experiments." More chuckles, more phones recording. The sting of humiliation burned, but Malikah's eyes didn't drop. Vanessa strutted closer, a predatory grin stretching across her face. "Tell you what," she said, loud enough for every corner of the gym to hear. 3 rounds. You last against me, you stay. You fold, you crawl out the same door you walked in. The room erupted with anticipation, a twisted kind of excitement. Buzzing in the air, Malikah exhaled slowly, meeting Vanessa's glare without flinching. "Fine," she said, voice calm as stone. And just like that, the gym's cruel spectacle was set. No one knew the truth about the quiet girl in worn-out sneakers, or what kind of storm they had just invited into their ring. The gym doors had barely swung closed when Tom Rivera, the veteran trainer and owner of the Manhattan Elite Boxing Club, stepped out of his office, his weathered hands clutching a clipboard. His deep voice cut through the whispers and laughter that were still echoing from Vanessa's mockery. "The youth scholarship program is real," Tom said, his tone firm as stone. He glanced at Malikah, then at Vanessa, unflinching. "And Malikah Johnson's name is on my approved list. She has every right to be here." Vanessa rolled her eyes dramatically, letting her phone camera capture the gesture. "Oh, please, Tom. You are really going to turn this place into a shelter project? My sponsors are not paying me to watch charity cases prance around pretending to be boxers." Her words dripped venom, every syllable aimed to sting. A few gym members shifted uncomfortably, but no one spoke up. Phones stayed pointed, recording. The spectacle like vultures circling a wounded animal. Malikah stood silent, shoulders squared, her worn sneakers planted firmly on the polished floor. The weight of stares pressed on her from every corner, but she refused to let them see fear. She had faced worse than this, 1,000 times worse. For a moment, her mind slipped thousands of miles away to Kingston. Hot, dusty afternoons where hunger gnawed at her stomach like an unending storm. Her mother's hands blistered from washing. Clothes for wealthier families, whispering late at night that Malikah's fists might be their ticket to a better life. And later, in New York, working endless hours cleaning offices and stocking shelves, sending money back home, barely sleeping but clinging to the dream that boxing could change everything. Vanessa's mocking laugh yanked her back to the present. 3 rounds, sweetheart, Vanessa said, her phone now streaming live to thousands. Let us see if you even know which hand to throw a punch with. The comments scrolled fast on the screen. Wipe the floor with her. Teach her a lesson. Champ, this is going to be hilarious. Tom stepped closer to Vanessa, his voice low but laced with authority. This is a gym, not your stage. You want to spar? Fine. But if you are doing this, you are not doing it for show. You are doing it under my rules. Vanessa only smirked, knowing that every second of this was boosting her engagement numbers. The promise of an easy public takedown was too sweet to resist. Word spread fast. Within an hour, the gym that had been buzzing with routine training was now thick with anticipation. Boxers paused mid-workout, trainers gathered near the ring, and even local sports reporters had started arriving, sensing a headline in the making. World champion humiliates wannabe boxer in 3 rounds. And then, the atmosphere shifted. The gym door creaked open again, and a man in his 50s stepped inside. His heavy boots echoed on the polished floor, his scarred hands hanging at his sides like they had seen every kind of fight life could throw. Desmond Carter, Malikah's uncle and once a feared street fighter in Kingston, scanned the room until his eyes found her. "Flash," he called out, his voice thick with his Jamaican accent. The single word sliced through the noise like a blade. A few older fighters glanced at each other, frowning, as if trying to recall where they had heard that name before. Malikah froze, just for a heartbeat, her jaw tightening. "Uncle Desmond," she muttered under her breath, already knowing what was coming. Desmond walked up, his eyes burning with quiet fury as he glanced from Malikah to Vanessa. "So this is what I hear from Miami? My niece, the Flash, letting a loudmouth world champion turn her into a sideshow." The whispers grew louder. "Flash? Who is Flash?" Phones that had been filming Vanessa turned toward Malikah now, curiosity spreading like wildfire. Malikah lifted her chin, locking eyes with Vanessa, her voice steady but razor-sharp. "3 rounds it is," she said, for the first time since. Malikah had stepped foot inside. A flicker of doubt flashed across Vanessa's face. Something told her this quiet girl was not the victim she thought she was, and that the friendly spar she had planned might not go as expected. The locker room felt too quiet compared to the chaos outside. The muffled sounds of laughter and phone notifications leaked in through the door, every noise a reminder of what waited for Malikah in the ring. She sat on a wooden bench, hands clasped, her faded sports bag at her feet. The smell of old leather gloves and disinfectant filled the space. Tom Rivera leaned against the wall, arms crossed, his face serious. "Kid, listen to me," he said, softly. "You don't have to do this. Vanessa, she isn't just some gym bully. She's a 2-time world champion. I don't want to watch you get hurt over her ego." Malikah tightened the tape around her hands, her expression calm, but her eyes burning with quiet fire. "Tom," she said slowly, "I fought worse for less. Back home, every fight wasn't about titles or trophies. It was about surviving another day." She looked up at him, her voice steady. "I'm not here to win her approval. I'm here because this is the only shot I've got to prove I belong." Before Tom could answer, the door opened, and Uncle Desmond stepped in. His presence filled the room, a mix of pride and worry etched into his weathered face. "Flash," he muttered, shaking his head. "I thought we left this life behind, eh?" Malikah's lips pressed together, a flicker of pain crossing her features. "I tried, Uncle. I wanted a clean slate here. But people like her." She glanced toward the door, where Vanessa's laughter echoed faintly. "They think they can strip us of our dignity just because of where we're from, what we wear, or the color of our skin. I can't let that stand, not tonight." Desmond crouched beside her, his rough hands gripping hers tightly. "Then promise me this," he said, his voice low. "Don't fight to hurt her. Fight to remind her you're not to be underestimated." Malikah gave a small nod, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm not here for revenge, Uncle. I'm here for dignity." Meanwhile, in the main gym, Vanessa's phone camera stayed live, her smug grin plastered across the screen. "You guys are going to love this," she told her millions of followers, adjusting her designer sports top. "Some random kid from who knows where thinks she can spar with me. This is going to be over before the bell hits the first round." The comments poured in by the second. "Crush her, Queen Vanessa. Teach that charity case a lesson. This isn't a fairy tale. Girl's going to get wrecked." Screenshots and hashtags began trending. Hashtag Vanessa versus nobody. Hashtag Queen of the Ring. Hashtag Street Girl Dreaming. The entire city seemed to know that an amateur immigrant girl was about to be publicly embarrassed by a world champion. The spectacle had taken on a life of its own. Back in the locker room, Tom decided to test something. "Malikah," he said, handing her a pair of worn gloves. "Show me your stance." What happened next silenced him completely. Malikah moved like water flowing around invisible obstacles. Her footwork was razor-sharp, every step measured, every punch slicing through the air with precision that spoke of years of unseen battles. Her hooks landed with a crack on the old heavy bag, each strike deliberate, powerful, and fast enough to blur. Tom blinked, astonished. "You're no beginner," he muttered under his breath. Desmond gave a knowing nod. "She's Flash for a reason," he said quietly. "Lightning-fast reflexes. Learned to fight when losing meant no dinner that night." The ring's just another street corner to her. One by one, other experienced fighters peeked in through the doorway, their expressions shifting from skepticism to respect. Whispers spread. She moves like a pro. That girl's got real hands. This won't be as easy as Vanessa thinks. As the hour drew closer, Tom laid out the stakes clearly, his voice serious. If you lose, Malikah, Vanessa will make sure you're banned from this gym. The scholarship program won't touch your name again. Every door in this city could slam shut on you. This is bigger than just a spar. It's your one chance to change everything. Malikah finished tying her gloves, standing taller than before. Then I can't lose, she said simply. The final call came. The crowd had packed around the ring, phones raised, the atmosphere electric with anticipation. Vanessa stretched dramatically, flashing her perfect smile for the cameras, her confidence unshaken. She looked at Malikah as if already victorious, waving mockingly. But as Malikah stepped through the ropes, her eyes locked on Vanessa's, there was no fear left. Only the quiet, dangerous determination of someone who had been underestimated too many times and was about to make the whole world remember her name. The bell rang. The air thickened. Every eye waited for what would happen next. The crowd pressed closer around the ring, phones lifted high like glowing lanterns. The noise in the gym was a mix of excitement, mockery, and curiosity. Everyone expected a quick fight, a public lesson for the girl who dared step into Vanessa Cole's world. Vanessa leaned against the ropes, grinning at her followers on a live stream. Watch closely, she said into her phone. This won't take long. She tossed her device to her manager and cracked her knuckles, basking in the cheers of her loyal fans. Malikah stood quietly in her corner, adjusting her gloves. Tom's voice was steady but serious as he leaned in. Stay sharp, kid. She'll come at you fast and hard. Don't let her get in your head. Uncle Desmond rested a heavy hand on Malikah's shoulder. Remember what I told you. Don't fight her anger. Fight your truth. Malikah gave one firm nod. Her heartbeat was loud in her ears, but her face was calm. She had fought too many battles in silence to let fear claim her now. The bell rang. Vanessa charged forward immediately, throwing a flurry of quick jabs, her trademark speed on full display. The crowd roared in approval, already convinced the fight was over before it began, but Malikah wasn't there. Each punch sliced through empty air as she slipped past every strike with fluid, effortless movement. She stepped sideways, ducked low, and twisted away, her eyes locked on Vanessa's shoulders, reading every intention before it came. What the? Vanessa muttered under her breath, surprised to be missing so often. She doubled her pace, throwing heavier punches meant to intimidate. Malikah's feet glided across the canvas like she was born on it, never wasting energy, never out of balance. For the first minute, Malikah didn't throw a single punch. She simply avoided everything, studying Vanessa, watching her pattern, feeling her rhythm. Every slip, every dodge was measured, deliberate, and precise. The crowd started murmuring. This wasn't what they expected. Vanessa growled, frustration creeping into her perfect composure. Stand still, she snapped, swinging a heavy cross meant to end the fight instantly. And that's when it happened. Malikah ducked low, pivoted on her back foot, and snapped a left hook straight into Vanessa's ribs. The sound was sharp, echoing through the gym. Vanessa stumbled back, eyes wide in disbelief. It wasn't a beginner's punch. It was a clean, professional shot that stole her breath. Lucky hit, Vanessa shouted, forcing a smirk as the crowd gasped. But the flicker of doubt in her eyes betrayed her confidence. Tom's voice from the corner was low and awed. She's not just good, he whispered to himself. She's brilliant. Uncle Desmond folded his arms, a small, proud smile tugging at his lips. That's my flash, he said softly. The second round started with Vanessa trying to regain control, but Malikah had already taken command of the rhythm. Every time Vanessa attacked, Malikah slipped inside her guard, landing sharp, fast punches that rattled the champion. Jab to the face, hook to the body, pivot out of range before a counter could land. The crowd erupted each time Malikah connected. Whispers filled the gym. Who is this girl? She's dismantling Vanessa. This isn't supposed to happen. Vanessa's arrogance began to crack. Her movements grew sloppy, desperate, swinging wild punches that Malikah dodged with ease. Malikah's eyes never left her opponents, calm and focused, her breathing steady, her body moving like a storm under control. Midway through the second round, Malikah finally spoke, her voice calm but carrying across the ring. "You wanted to teach me a lesson, right?" she said between movements, her eyes locked on Vanessa's. "Here's one for you. Respect isn't something you can buy. You earn it." With that, she unleashed a four-punch combination so fast the crowd barely saw it coming. Left jab, right cross, left hook, uppercut. Every punch landed clean, each strike echoing like thunder. Vanessa stumbled backward, her knees buckling. She hit the canvas hard, the noise of her fall louder than the roar of the crowd. Gasps filled the gym, phones recording every second of the shocking moment. The referee started the count. 1, 2, 3. Vanessa tried to push herself up, but her body wouldn't respond. Her eyes darted to her corner, panic replacing her earlier smugness. The champion who had walked into the ring certain of her dominance now looked like a lost child facing a force she couldn't understand. Malikah stood still, gloves lowered, breathing controlled, eyes steady on her opponent. She hadn't come for blood. She'd come for truth. 7, 8, 9. Vanessa slumped back down, defeated. 10. Knockout, the referee shouted, throwing his hands in the air. The gym erupted in chaos. Cheers drowned out everything else. Phones flashed like lightning. The live stream comments exploded worldwide. The queen just got dethroned. That Jamaican girl is a monster. Respect earned. Lesson learned. Malikah walked to the center of the ring, her face calm, and looked at Vanessa as medical staff helped her up. "You said I didn't belong here," Malikah said softly, her voice steady but powerful enough for the entire gym to hear. "But respect isn't about where you come from. It's about who you are when the gloves are on." Vanessa stared at her, eyes wet with tears of humiliation, but something else too, a flicker of reluctant respect. The fight was over. But everyone in that gym knew this wasn't just a victory in the ring. Malikah Johnson had rewritten the rules in front of millions, showing the world that no amount of privilege or arrogance could crush a fighter who refused to bow to prejudice. And for the first time in her life, Malikah felt the weight of her past lifting, replaced by something stronger than fear or anger. A quiet, unshakable dignity that no one could ever take away again. The video of Vanessa's fall spread across social media like wildfire. Within hours, hashtags dominated every platform. Hashtag lightning strikes, hashtag respect earned, hashtag Vanessa exposed. Millions of viewers replayed the knockout over and over, but the real sting for Vanessa wasn't the punch. It was the truth captured in every caption. Arrogance meets reality. Comment sections that once worshipped her now turned savage. She mocked a girl chasing her dream and got humbled. Privilege isn't power when real skill walks in. The queen fell because she never had the crown in her heart. By the end of the week, the fallout was brutal. Major sponsors released statements cutting ties with Vanessa Cole, citing values misalignment. Television networks canceled appearances. Her once glamorous social media presence became a graveyard of memes, every post flooded with reminders of her arrogance. The woman who once laughed at underdogs was now the world's biggest example of what happens when you underestimate them. While Vanessa's empire crumbled, Malikah chose a different path. The crowd in the gym, still buzzing from what they had witnessed, waited for her to celebrate. Phones were thrust toward her, reporters shouting for quotes. But Malikah raised her gloves once, signaling for silence. Her voice, steady yet full of weight, cut through the noise. "Tonight wasn't about humiliation," she said, her eyes sweeping across every face in the room. "It was about dignity. People like me, we fight every day just to stand here. Respect isn't something you can buy with fame or money. It's earned by who you are, not what you own." The gym fell silent, every word sinking deep. Even Vanessa, still sitting in her corner with medical eyes pressed to her face, stared at Malikah as if hearing truth for the first time. Malikah continued, lowering her gloves. "Strength isn't about beating others down. It's about lifting yourself up, no matter how many people try to keep you under." The crowd erupted into applause, not the kind born from spectacle, but from understanding. Something real had been spoken in a place usually filled with ego and noise. In the days that followed, the gym saw a quiet transformation. Tom Rivera, the grizzled veteran trainer, called an all-hands meeting. Standing in the same ring where Malikah had rewritten history, he made a vow. From now on, this scholarship program grows. No one with real passion and drive will ever be turned away from this place again. Not on my watch. The other gym members, many who had laughed at Malikah when she first walked through the door, lined up to shake her hand. Some apologized outright. Others simply looked her in the eye with a nod of respect, the kind they hadn't given before. Malikah accepted every gesture, not with prideful victory, but with quiet grace. A few days later, a group of young girls from underprivileged neighborhoods visited the gym, clutching notepads and secondhand gloves. Their wide eyes followed Malikah's every move as she shadowboxed in the corner. One of them, no older than 12, whispered, "She looks like me. Maybe I can do it too." Malikah crouched down, smiling warmly. "Listen to me," she told them, her voice low but unshakable. "Never let anyone tell you what you can't do because of where you come from. Dreams don't have a zip code. And respect? You don't wait for it. You fight for it. With your heart, your courage, and your dignity." The girls nodded, faces glowing with newfound belief. In that moment, Malikah understood what Uncle Desmond had always told her. Real strength isn't measured by victories in the ring, but by how many others you lift when you finally stand tall. 3 months later, the world had not stopped talking about Malikah Johnson. What began as a viral clip of a friendly spar gone wrong had transformed into a global movement. Headlines across major sports magazines called her the storm that changed boxing and lightning with a purpose. The photo of Malikah standing tall in that Manhattan gym, fists lowered, eyes blazing with quiet defiance, had become an emblem of resilience shared on billboards, posters, and social campaigns worldwide. Her life changed overnight. Malikah signed her first professional boxing contract with a major promoter, a multi-million-dollar deal that promised not only fights, but also a platform to tell her story. Sports journalists called her the voice of the underestimated, and fans across the globe, especially young women from disadvantaged backgrounds, saw her as living proof that no barrier was too high to break. But Malikah's dream didn't stop with her own rise. In the heart of Kingston, Jamaica, where her journey had begun, the Flash Dreams Foundation opened its doors. Funded by her fight earnings and donations from people inspired by her story, it provided free training, mentorship, and scholarships for girls who shared her hunger and drive. The gym walls were lined with a motto that defined Malikah's life: greatness isn't given, it's earned. Every day, Malikah trained with these girls, showing them how to throw their first punches, but more importantly, how to believe in their own worth. She told them, "The ring doesn't care about money or privilege. It only cares about heart." Vanessa Cole's fate painted a stark contrast. Stripped of titles and abandoned by sponsors, she tried to rebuild her reputation through public apologies and tearful interviews. But the internet never forgot her arrogance. Every attempt to rebrand was met with reminders of how she mocked a young immigrant chasing her dream. Her fall from grace became a cautionary tale told in gyms around the world. Respect your opponent, or you may face your own lightning. Vanessa learned humility too late, left watching from the sidelines as Malikah's name became synonymous with honor, resilience, and earned glory. The defining moment of Malikah's legacy came under the bright lights of Madison Square Garden. Her first world title fight sold out in hours. Millions tuned in across the globe, not just to watch a boxing match, but to witness a story of triumph over prejudice reach its next chapter. After 10 grueling rounds, the referee lifted Malikah's arm high. She was the new champion of the world. The crowd erupted, chanting her name like a battle cry. Cameras flashed, and the golden championship belt was fastened around her waist. But Malikah's focus wasn't on the glory, it was on the message. She took the microphone, her voice steady yet powerful, reaching every corner of the arena and every living room watching at home. "To every person who doubted me," she began, her eyes scanning the crowd. "Your doubt was my fuel. To every door that was slammed in my face, you became the reason I refused to stop knocking. Greatness isn't given by privilege. It's earned by refusing to accept the limits others place on you." The stadium roared, not just for a champion, but for a symbol of hope. Malikah held the championship belt high, a beacon for anyone who had ever been told they were not enough. The cameras captured the moment, the roar of the crowd, the tears in Tom and Uncle Desmond's eyes, and Malikah, standing unshaken under the lights, for every young dreamer watching. That image whispered a promise. No prejudice, no insult, no wall is stronger than the fire inside you. The screen faded to black, Malikah's silhouette still holding the belt aloft, her story no longer just about a fight in a gym, but about rewriting the meaning of strength, respect, and true greatness.